Well, good morning, everyone. Today is November the 11th. My name is Mighty Stream, and I'm going to do your spiritual principle a day in a meditation. I'm brought to you by Hope Through Navigation, and this is our Hood Recovery Services. You can reach me at recoveryofhope21@gmail.com. Again, I'm going to do your spiritual principle a day in a meditation. I was so excited about that just for today. I thought I was going to do it twice, but let's go ahead and get into that screen so we can get started and enjoy this little time that we have together with each other, okay? All right, what is the title here? It is entitled Willing to Explore New Directions. Should be good. With self-acceptance comes a willingness to creatively explore new directions. Living Clean, Chapter 4, Wellness and Health. Oh, this is a good chapter. Our willingness to stay clean triggers willingness to improve our lives. In turn, we're able to look at ourselves with greater clarity and a realness we never imagined possible. Our minds become open to an awareness of our shortcomings and our limitations. We humbly evaluate and acknowledge our assets. Acceptance of where we are right now creates a willingness to move forward. And like everything in recovery and in life, we won't experience self-acceptance perfectly. Rather, it's something we strive for daily. In recovery, accepting ourselves doesn't mean we accept our conditions. Instead, we can pursue new goals that better mirror the self we have come to accept. Many of us who find some stability in NA also find the willingness to create new opportunities for ourselves or take ones that are offered to us. We now know that we don't have to be held back or be victimized by our past. We follow through on a long-held dream, rent our own place for the first time, enroll in or finish college, or start a family. We also can be led by a deep-seated knowing, or what one member called divine dissatisfaction. A motivating, self-affirming voice tells us it's time to move on from the relationship that we've used all the arrows in our quiver to save. It tells us to move on from a job that's no longer fulfilling us, to move to a new city, to just move our lives in some significant way. We learn to trust our instincts. Our self-acceptance helps us to be willing to make mistakes and then be willing to forgive ourselves and learn from them. We find ourselves often being more flexible, knowing that we'll be okay no matter what, more resilient and responsible, less of a perfectionist. If one endeavor doesn't work, we're willing to feel the pain of failure and then seek an alternative strategy to reach our goal. I am determined to accept who I am and who I'm becoming today. With those arrows in my quiver, I'm willing to point my life in a new direction and take aim. Let's go ahead and take a moment of silence, followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer, please. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please and thank you. Self-acceptance is a big deal, and it allows us to develop or to become willing to explore new horizons, go in different directions. We no longer have to live in the past and allow it to beat us up. We get clean and we start figuring out, okay, Oh, okay. That's why that happened like 10 different times in my lifetime. Because when this happened, it triggered this thought, and I didn't like that thought. So I picked up this drug and that person to try and distract myself from what was really going on, which was the emotional or physical pain that I was trying to avoid all along anyway. But we learn in recovery that we no longer have to do that. And we figure out now when this happens, guess what? I'm going to do something different. And in doing the something different, we find that we get different results. And at first, it's kind of like an experiment. Like the baby that's crawling and figures out that if it hunches its legs up close enough to its hands that it can push itself up on all fours and find some level of balance, and then begin to take these staggering steps, holding on to coffee tables and people's knees. Right? The baby is learning that I can get from here to there with my own 2 feet, and I don't need mama or daddy or anyone else to carry. I can see something across the room and say, I want that, and go for it, instead of having someone have to move me around, carry me all day long, and they never let me down because I'm a baby. We grow up in recovery and we figure out, oh, okay, if I do this just a little bit different, then I'll get these results. Yeah. So instead of discounting your ability to accomplish something, now you're learning that every time you were afraid of failure or afraid of success, you cowered, you chose not to act, you were paralyzed with fear. And that's why you ended up being the age that you are talking about. You know, it's too late to go to college. It's too late to do no, but then you clean up and you're like, I've always had that fear. I'm not quite sure where that all came from, but I've always been afraid of the unknown. What would happen if I actually decide to do something different and move out of my comfort zone? Let me jump on the bus and go to the community college and see what it takes to enroll in school. Or let me just get on Indeed.com and pull up all of these positions and see what I can find that would allow me to work from home or work the hours that I want to work. What about if I apply for some credit and I get rejected, but maybe the reason I'm rejected isn't because I have bad credit, I just have no credit? What do I need to do to get a secured credit card? What do I need to do to get a car? Right? There's all these different things that when we get self acceptance and we start to move past our fears, now we're seeing, oh, there's a whole world out here, just like that baby learning how to walk. There's a whole world of things out here for me to do. And we begin to do those things. As it says here in this paragraph right here, the second paragraph, last line, it says, we begin to follow through on long held dreams, rent our own place for the first time, enroll in or finish college, or start a family. And you know what? We find out that we don't do all those things perfectly. How many times does a baby starting to learn how to walk as a toddler figure out that, yeah, you might want to stay away from the stairs? You're not ready for the stairs just yet. Or you can make a distance, maybe 5 or 6 steps, but you can't walk from the end of the house to the other house without expecting to fall. You're a baby. You know what I think? I think sometimes we put unrealistic expectations on ourselves and others, to quote the basic text, to be fair. But we put these unrealistic expectations of perfection on ourselves. And if we can't be perfect, then we don't want to try or risk making the mistake. We don't want others to see the imperfections. But truly, it's in the learning, it's in the process, it's in the journey, it's the mistakes that we learn from. And we figure out that wasn't so bad. Like it wasn't on the news. There was no broadcast that I failed my first driver's test. I'm telling you that. That's the truth. I failed my first driver's test, right? And Mr. Smith, I can remember him yelling at me to this day. And he was like, "You don't stop on a ramp. You're getting on the highway. You do not stop. I'm failing you and you will take this again." Why would you tell me that you're going to fail me? And I'm trying to get enough nerve to dart in between all these oncoming cars and merge onto the highway. That was horrible. But you know what? The next time I took a test, I passed it. My parallel parking was amazing, and it's been amazing ever since. Oh, now there's been some times I've been in certain cities like Chicago, and the parallel parking in Chicago is not quite the same as parallel parking in Southwest Michigan. Southwest Michigan, they give you like a car length and a half. In Chicago, it's like get in where you can fit in. If you can't fit in, then you're probably not an expert at parallel parking in Chicago. So there's times where you're just like, you know what? Let me just keep on driving till I find something else, another space that I can actually get in. I don't beat myself up over that stuff. I'm sure you guys have picked that up by now. My energy is way, way, way too happy and positive to be held down too long by any mistake that I make anymore. But you know what? I didn't get there overnight. It took time. It took a lot of failing to figure out the world was not going to end just because I didn't succeed in something I attempted to do. Told you the story about me and going to the university. There's so many stories of my trips over to India and Eastern Africa that, honestly, to tell you the truth, I would consider them failures. There were a lot of things that failed overseas for me. But the thing that didn't was that I survived it and that I came home and I was in such a depleted state of mind mentally from everything that I encountered, and that I was still alive, that I was still clean, right? That was the success. Today, I want you to pull your bootstraps up and I want you to be determined to accept who you are and who you are becoming today. And realize that those arrows in your quiver, you can point them in any direction that you want to and take aim. And sometimes it's going to be a bullseye. You'll hit the target. And sometimes you'll shoot way past the target. And sometimes you'll shoot just short of the target. Sometimes you'll hit the target, but you'll hit it too far to the left or the right or the top or the bottom. But here's the thing. You have quivers and you have an arrow and a bow and arrow, and you actually took aim and took a chance on it. That alone should be applauded. Today, I want you to live your best life. I want you to go away from this meditation feeling encouraged, committed to living this life, this day, to the best of your ability and making it the most powerful, beautiful, motivated day that you've ever had today, because you will never get this day back. I need you to do that. Let me know how it goes. I'm looking forward to hearing from you all. Talk to you tomorrow.